Good day everyone, I am Angel Grace Bontog from BSHN 3C and I will be discussing the introduction of the course, the Philippine Tourism Law. Ignorantia juris non excusat is a Latin term which means ignorance of the law excuses no one. Without law in world would be very unstable with an anarchy in our streets, and peace would be difficult to achieve. Tourism law is a vital aspect of the tourism industry as it regulates the relationships between the tourism businesses, and governments. So to dig more, this is the definition of the law. So it's generally an abstract sense, is the science of moral laws founded on the rational nature of the man that governs his free activity for the realization of the individual and social ends of life under an aspect of mutual conditional dependence. So in its specific concrete sense, it is defined as a result of conduct, just and obligatory promulgated by legitimate authority and of common observance and benefit. So I will show you the kinds of law. So for us purpose, laws can be classified into two main categories, the substantive law and adjective law. Substantive law creates, defines, and regulates rights, while adjective law provides the method of aiding and protecting certain rights. Understanding this qualification is essential in the context of tourism law. So, substantive law is a law that creates, defines, and regulates rights. In the context of tourism, substantive law would include laws that regulate the rights and duties of tourists, tourism businesses, and governments. Example of this law includes the civil law, criminal law, and the commercial law. Adjective law, on the other hand, provides the method of aiding and protecting certain rights. In the context of tourism, adjective law would include laws that provide procedures for enforcing the rights and duties of tourists, tourism businesses, and government. Example of adjective law include procedural law, evidence law, and administrative law. As to scope of law, laws can be also classified according to their scope. There are two main categories, the general or public law and the special or private law. General law applies to all people within a jurisdiction, while the special law applies to specific individual or group. So for the general or public law, applies to all people within a jurisdiction. Example of this is that the criminal law, international law, and political law. These laws regulate the relationships between individuals and the state and are essential for maintaining social order. The criminal law, a law dealing with crimes and their punishment, as well as the procedure. Next is the international law, body of rules or principles of action governing the relations between the states. Lastly is the political law, law regulating the relations sustained by the inhabitants of a territory to sovereign. Lastly, the political law, law regulating the relations sustained by the inhabitants of a territory to the sovereign. Next type is the special or private law. This applies to specific individuals or groups. Examples of this is including the civil law, maritime law, and the mercantile law. These laws regulate the relationships between individuals and businesses and are essential for facilitating commercial transactions. The first type is the civil law, the mass of precepts which determines and regulates those relations of assistance, authority, and obedience existing among members of a family and those which exist among members of a society for the protection of private interest. Next type is the maritime law, the law dealing with commerce by sea involving regulation of ships and harbors and the status of seamen. Lastly is the mercantile law, The law of commercial transactions derived from the law of merchants, which includes the commercial paper, insurance, and other types of agency. So next slide is the concept of tourism law. Tourism law is a body of rules and principles that regulate the relationships between tourists, tourism businesses, and government. It encompasses various aspects of law, including substantive law, adjective law, general public law, and the special or private law. So this is essential for ensuring that the rights and duties of the stakeholders are protected. Next is the importance and application of the tourism law. So again, tourism law plays a crucial role in regulating tourist activities, protecting tourist rights, and promoting tourism development. It is essential for ensuring that tourism businesses operate responsibly and sustainably. It is essential for ensuring that tourism businesses operate responsibly and sustainably, and that tourism are aware of their rights and duties. Tourism law is applied in various contexts, including tourist destinations, transportation, accommodation, and tourism activities. The tourism industry involves numerous commercial transactions and regulations. To promote tourism development, various government agencies impose regulations. This requires studying principles and statutes governing tourism development. So this book explores Philippine tourism laws, government agency, and current industry situation. It analyzes and resolves issues using existing laws and legislation. So the sources of law relevant to tourism includes the follows: the Philippine Constitution, statutes like Dangerous Drugs Act and Labor Code, statutes like Dangerous Drugs Act and Labor Code. Next is the administrative orders, including the tourism regulations and BIR circulars. Next is the judicial decisions, the Supreme Court interpretation. Next is the custom that established rules of conduct. Next is the other sources like foreign tribunals, textbook writers. So in conclusion, tourism law is a vital aspect of the tourism industry. It regulates the relationships between tourists, tourism businesses, and governments, and ensures that the rights and duties of all stakeholders are protected. So understanding tourism law is essential for promoting responsible and sustainable tourism practices. So that's all for my reporting for the introduction.